Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Salante. They call me Tay, and this is a new podcast I'm starting, mostly revolving around reviewing music. I'm going to mostly be looking at rap, but I'm passionate about many genres of music. I have like 8 different playlists on Spotify, each with at least 1,500 songs, each from a different genre or group of genres. And I have even more music since I switched to Apple Music last year. So I love music as a whole, but I really, really love rap. I also rap on the side, though it's very sporadic, and I haven't really recorded a song since like 2021. But if I record any music, I'll be posting that on this channel too. I may also occasionally talk about sports and movies on here. You know, like maybe a special event episode with some friends. We just chop it up about something. You know, probably not, but that may happen. So the first project I want to review for this podcast is JID's God Does Like Ugly Preluxe EP. Before I go any further, please like and subscribe. Your boy really trying to make it in these YouTube streets. All right, so JID is a weird case because in certain corners of the internet, you'll think he was the biggest upcoming rapper ever. But then you see the first week sales of his latest album and it's only 34K. And that's his highest first week sales ever. But on the other hand, he has, multiple songs from Eminem. He has a song with Lil Wayne. He has a song with Offset. You know, he's from Dreamville, so he has a few songs with Cole too. So obviously, elite rappers think he's like that. You know, all the rap pages and the subreddits and social media, IG, TikTok pages. You know, they all think he's like that. So where's his sales at? Well, there's 3 things. 1, music sales are lower across the board. Mostly due to streaming and stuff. 1 stream doesn't count as an album sale. And then 2, it's very hard for any new artist to really break out in terms of commercial music sales, especially in a genre like rap that's like really oversaturated and divided. Because, unlike pop or R&B, rap can be very regional. Like DC, people from DC may only listen to, street rappers from DC. They not checking for Kendrick or Cole, JID, or, they not listening to Drake or Lil Wayne or nothing like that. They only listening to people from, where they from their hoods and stuff like that. So that could also make it harder for a rapper to break out. And 3rd, JID doesn't really make the type of music that can see him blow up in that type of way, like not consistently. But 34K is still strong for him. But I do wish he was more popular considering his talent level. So let's get the first thing out of the way. I know this EP is just a prelude to his album, God Does Like Ugly. So someone may say it's okay if it's bad because it's not the full album, which is kind of true. But JID specifically calls this the Preluxe. It's an extension of the album. These are not throwaway songs. It's the equivalent of additional songs on a deluxe version, but put out ahead of the album instead of after the album. JID did this for promotion, so I'm not going to judge this by way lower standards, especially since this is supposed to be an upcoming GOAT. The second thing, JID can rap, all right? He can rap his ass off. My gripes with this album has more to do with the music than its ability to rap. JID is a very good lyrical rapper and a GOAT level technical rapper. That's JID's biggest strength. He is phenomenal at technical rapping. He has crazy rhyme schemes. He has a million pockets. He has a million flows. He probably has the best flows in the game right now. And that's been the case since 2017 when I first started listening to him. But he's gotten better and better at it. And it's clear that he's pushing his pen more than ever. And, at least for this specific EP, I feel like, in my opinion, that's to his detriment. So listening to this album, to me, feels like listening to Eminem back in the mid-2010s. It's very aggressively technical to where a lot of it is either speed raps or the verses are off beat completely. And when I first started listening to JID, he was on that type of timing, but he has smoothed out a lot in recent years, which is why I see this as a progression. If all you want to do is see how high a level a rapper can rap, then this is for you. If you want something smooth that you can just add to a playlist and listen to casually, this is not for you. And I don't mean casual like a party song. I just mean something you can vibe to and nod your head to when you listen to it. And this ain't that. It's like in the first song, he starts over rapping. I'm gonna call it over rapping. He starts over rapping almost immediately at the beginning of the song. He said, he goes, it's seasonal or cheesy, artisanal. Pardon me, guarding me is not feasible, unbelievable. If you see it, I keep a little dough on the basis you need to know. Like, come on, like, okay, bro. And then he smooths it out. He says, basically, I'm the CEO. Take a seat in the vehicle. We can roll from Stevenson Road to Cedar Grove, modifying the Blickies to GMO. So, I mean, like I said, his skill and his pen can't be questioned. But I think you can see where I'm getting at. Like, I'd rather hear that second example I gave you more than that first example. Especially if we got to get an entire EP of this shit. And mind you, this is an EP. This ain't a full album. So, like I said, his skill and his pen can't be questioned. Maybe that first little section or that first example may not sound that bad to you. But not after long in the same song, we have a section where he says, nigga, I made the road to scatter, make the play when it's supposed to matter, and the game it is oversaturated and the flow is so flattered by the posers who post and blabber. Like, okay, bro. Like, who wants to listen? Like I said, anyway, this EP has little to no hooks. It's just mostly him doing that shit that I'm giving you the example of. And the songs can go up to 6 minutes. I love rap, so much that I made a podcast for it. And even I didn't enjoy my first listen to this EP on the drive home. And I find it funny that people clown rappers all the time for this style of rap, but there's not much criticism going towards JID for doing it. In fact, they're praising him. And I mean, I get it. He's an East Atlanta nigga and not a corny white boy from YouTube, but still, the biggest grace, I can give him is that we don't normally get this from JID, at least not nowadays. So I don't know where this came from. Maybe he just wanted to really push the pen for this EP. But we'll see. Anyway, let's get to the second song. It features Lil Yachty, and it definitely sounds like a Yachty song, with the beat, the production and stuff like that. Yachty actually kind of slides on it. He sounds good. And I'm not going to lie, the first time I heard it, I thought he wasn't really saying anything due to his delivery. But if you pay attention to the lyrics or read them, he actually has a lot of good bars. JID comes in second. He starts off good, then he goes back to over rapping, really overly wordy, way off beat, and, aggressive rapping. Halfway through, Yachty comes in and does his thing, and we get another verse from JID, more of the same. So that's, he's 0 for 2 out of 4. So yeah, at the most he can get is like a 2.5 out of 5. And then we get to the best song on the album. It's Lisa featuring Black, 6 Lakh. This is one of JID's best songs. This is what I wish we got more of. His pen and his technical ability is just as great here as the other songs, or maybe even better, but it's very, very smooth. Black gives a good hook, nothing special, but adds to the vibe of the song, and the subject matter is deep and personal. It's much more digestible, and the only song from this EP I'm adding to my playlist. On this song, to give an example, he says, it's been a lot of years, shed a lot of tears too. The man in the mirror is merely more than a miracle. Like, again, you see the difference, and you still get that technical ability or that technicality with the alliteration. Man in the mirror is merely more than a miracle. Or like, to give you another example, he says, gave me food for thought, a mental appetite. It fed, I can't tell you what was said, because at the less can get us fed time. Like that kind of wordplay is crazy. And he did that for the entire song. So I love this song. And then we get to the last song, which is Animals with Eminem. Bruh. I mean, I know Eminem kind of has the reputation for doing the same thing I'm criticizing JID for, but he actually calmed down a lot with that in the last few years. Unfortunately, because that's the type of timing JID is on for this EP, we get 6 minutes of JID and M doing speed rap in 2025, man. They both didn't regress. And mind you, for the most part, they ain't really rapping about nothing. This speed rap for the sake of it, to prove to you that they can speed rap, in case you didn't know that already. Except here it's worse. JID is completely off beat for the entire first half of his verse, like not even close to being on beat. The only thing that saves JID verse here is that halfway through, the beat changes and he changes his flow to something much more listenable. Yeah, pace is paper thin. I plant a flag for every place I'm in. Pace has been admits. It's not a race, but I've been chasing it. Been forsaken, only placing my faith in the hands that turn the staff into a snake, and then the snake into a staff again. Like, that shit crazy. If you got a whole album of that, again, I give it a 10 out of 10. But like I said, unfortunately, That's not what we got. And then after that, we get Eminem, and he's doing the speed rap thing the entire time too. Of course, he is. In my opinion, he's much better at it than JID though. He's significantly more on beat. But on the other hand, he has some real corny lines. He says, like, I feel like I just my bad. He says, I feel like I just walked in, seen you naked because you're not even decent. Then he says, like a sleeping cow on board dozing. Then he also says, they want me to go on the straight and narrow, like the same shape that they made an arrow. You know, I could keep going. It's just corny line after corny line. But halfway through his verse, the beat switches and M kind of starts cooking. His flow really fits the second beat a lot more. And he has some real dense rhyme pattern. And then he also has his best line in this verse. You're going to fuck around and find out just what the fuck we bout when we suit. And I ain't talking about how we hoot when you end up in a motherfucking alley. Oops. You know, like Eminem doing gun bars feels kind of weird, but, you know, that's just still hard regardless. So in the end, I get this album 1.5 out of 5. You know what? I'm going to give it a 1 out of 5. I mean, like I said, I feel like it's a regression. The focus is purely on rapping, and it's exhausting by the end of the 4 songs. And for this to be a promotion, it actually made me less excited for the full album because it made me worried that I was about to get 12 to 15 songs of this. He's an elite rapper. He's an elite pen. I don't need more proof of that. I want to see him grow musically. And he can still improve his pen by doing that. So this ultimately isn't what I wanted to see from JID in 2025. It feels like he's over-indexing into his rapping ability. Though there are some pockets that I really enjoyed. Lisa is one of my favorite songs. Me hearing this made me worried for the direction JID was going. But, you know, on the next episode, I'll be checking out the full album, God Does Like Ugly, which I love and is currently my album of the year. So if you agree with me or disagree with me, just go ahead and leave a comment below and give me any feedback you have about the podcast so far. I'll see you on the next episode.